Hello and welcome back to the Footballing Question YouTube channel, and again it is the third time this time in a row we are doing Premier League predictions. I got a few correct last week, like bang on. I got Villa Forest dead on, bang on, 2-0. I thought I was going to get City right, that wasn't right. One game which I got correct, which I'm very annoyed about, is Liverpool Arsenal. I thought 2-2 and I was really hoping I'd be wrong. And we were 2-1 up going into late stages of the game, and obviously that Firmino goal meant I was correct. It was 2-2 in the end. Yeah, not a nice one. I'd have taken a draw before the game, but if you told me how it would end up being a draw, that's the painful bit. But anyway, let's move on and predict this week's fixtures. So as always, we're going to go in chronological order, no specifics, just start off with the early kickoff, and I'm going to go with Aston Villa 2, Newcastle 1. You've heard it here first. Newcastle, I know they are on hot form, but they're going to meet their maker. Villa are on really good form. I've backed them every week and they've not let me down. I say that, I said they'd draw at Chelsea and they actually ended up winning. But with Villa, they just seem really good. I know Newcastle are kind of hitting form at the exact same time. They've both got a striker who's hitting form at the same time. They've got Isaac and Wilson banging in the goals, and Villa have got Ollie Watkins banging in the goals at the same time. I know, but I feel Villa Park, early kickoff, that might just be enough to really stunt Newcastle's run of form. I backed Brentford to do something and get a point last week. Unfortunately, Tony missed a penalty, despite scoring another, but he didn't. They'd missed an opportunity and it could have ended 2-2, and it didn't. If you take that into account for the entire game, Newcastle, are on this big run, and it is just a really exciting game because it's two teams who are playing really well at the moment. And I back Villa because they're at home, and it'd be really interesting to see. And it would be more interesting if I back Villa, wouldn't it? So yeah, I'm going for Aston Villa 2, Newcastle 1. Chelsea 0, Brighton 1. Chelsea, I'm sorry, but they just don't seem like they're actually capable of scoring goals. They've not scored at all this month, and that continued in the Champions League. And I don't know if they've got what it takes to score on the weekend either. Given Brighton let me down massively. I said they'd win 5-1. Oh no, sorry, not 5-1, God. I said they'd win 3-1 at Tottenham. They lost 2-1. However, maybe if the decisions went their way, which they probably should have, something may have gone differently, and maybe they would have won the game, maybe 2-1 or something. But the thing is, they conceded 2 goals. I didn't expect them to do that. But Chelsea are not Tottenham. Chelsea do not have Harry Kane or Heung-min Son on his day. Chelsea just seem to be lacking whatever it is, anything up top at the moment. There's nothing clinical. There's no consistent pattern going on there. It's a bit of a mess, and I don't really know what's happening with Chelsea at the moment. And I just can't see them scoring. Brighton are a better team, but traditionally, as we've seen over the years, haven't been a clinical side. That's changed over to Zerbi, but I don't expect them to score a ton. So I'm going to say they win 1-0 at the Bridge. And Chelsea, I'm sorry, home or away, I just don't see the side. I backed them to get a win at Molineux, and they couldn't do that. This side, I'm sorry, but I'm not backing Chelsea until they prove me wrong. Brighton are getting all 3 points here. Everton 1, Fulham 0. Fulham, since the FA Cup quarter-final, have not been the same team. And there's an obvious reason why. They're missing their star man up front. Willian's been off. There's just, that kind of a capitulation really changes an atmosphere around the club. And yeah, it's not been that great. Losing to Bournemouth, losing to West Ham at home as well. It's not great. And yeah, going to Goodison, a team which is, fighting at the moment to stay up. They got a good point against Tottenham last week, and at the same time as well, teams at the bottom, when they're under pressure, can do things. And Fulham, this is the perfect time to play Fulham for Everton. This is a team which is really kind of at odds with itself after that quarter-final. It's in a bit of a mess, and the manager himself is going through some problems trying to deal with the suspension which he was charged with. Everton at the moment, they are focused. They've got Dyche in charge of them, and they are going full throttle. Let's stay in the league, and they're going to do it. I'm going to say they are going to win on Saturday 1-0. Southampton 0, Crystal Palace 2. Yeah, I was wrong about Roy Hodgson. Jesus Christ, I backed them to lose at Leeds last weekend. Now, given the first half very much seemed that way, Leeds were all over them. They get a late goal, make it 1-1. And then they come out the second half, and I watched that second half. They were a completely different team. What the hell did he do? They were just all over them. It was like watching, I don't know, prime Fergie or Wenger ball, whatever. They were just all over them at Ellen Road. It was ridiculous. Jordan Ayew rising high to score ahead of bloody... Like, Edouard scored. He hasn't scored in ages. You know, they were all over them. Michael Elise got a hat-trick of assists. What the hell is going on here? But yeah, with that kind of a performance away at Ellen Road, I will back them to continue this and see what goes on next. And I think they can do it at St Mary's. Southampton are at the bottom. They're there for a reason, despite, you know, picking up the odd points here or there. I do think Crystal Palace have what it takes to dismantle them, and I'm going to say that they win 2-0. Spurs 2, Bournemouth 1. Now, with Spurs, they're in a bit of limbo when it comes to their club, and we all know that. The whole managerial situation, you know, the way the fans are acting towards the higher-ups, like the board and Levy. It's very weird at Tottenham right now. It almost feels like they're just waiting for the season to end, whether they get top 4 or not, as a club, just, you know, a chance to just push on and move on, whatever. And I feel like that might affect them results-wise. However, last week against Brighton, they got a little bit lucky, I'd say. But one thing it did show is they do have Harry Kane, and he can score important goals for you, and they still have that. And Bournemouth have a pretty poor defence overall this season, and they've done good things this season. Like, they nearly beat Tottenham at the Vitality. They nearly beat Arsenal at the Emirates. You know, they've done things, but the thing is, the defence has always caught them in those moments. And that's what's going to happen. They might even go 1-0 up in this game. Maybe through Philip Billing. He does pop up a lot at the moment, with a good goal last week as well at Leicester. But as I say, defensively, they will cost themselves. And I think Spurs will still win this game. They won't even have to play too well. Probably a brace from Harry Kane himself. But yeah, Tottenham, in terms of having the best striker in the league, or one of the best strikers in the league, Haaland, one of the best strikers in the league, going up against one of the worst defences in the league. In my eyes, it's an obvious result what's going to happen here. 2-1 Spurs. Wolves 0, Brentford 2. Now, Wolves did beat Chelsea last week, but it was through an absolute moment of magic, and you can't expect that every week. In terms of overall patterns of play and the chances they create, Wolves don't score too many, and they're coming up against a side which have one of the best strikers in the league, Ivan Toney, in hot form. Sure, yes, he did miss a penalty last week, but he also scored as well. He is an absolute machine. And coming up against Wolves, he'll be licking his lips at Molineux, and there is no way in hell he leaves without something. Brentford are still a good side. They came up against a really good Newcastle side last week and are unfortunate to lose. They will be taking all 3 points from Molineux, I can assure you that, and they are going to win this game 2-0. Man City 4, Leicester 0. Yeah, Dean Smith comes in, and if you think there's going to be a manager bounce, then genuinely look at yourself. How the hell? Dean Smith's record against City, 6 games, 6 losses, and I think it's an overall aggregate of like 19-3 or 6, whatever. It's a joke. It's just like, there's no way in hell this game is not ending with a typical Pep Guardiola smash. They are going to absolutely destroy Leicester. Probably a Haaland hat-trick if we're all being honest with ourselves. Like, there was rumours of them getting Rafa, and that would have been a really good appointment. But with Dean Smith in, I'm not going to lie, I feel like it's actually sealed their fate a little bit. I can see them going down. I really can see them going down. If they impress us on Saturday, then by God, you know, if they do something, then they're doing me a favour. But I just can't see any way in hell Leicester do anything at the Etihad. They will not. They are going to get thrashed. City are an amazing side. Look at what they did to Southampton last week. Southampton are a side at Leicester's level at the moment, and they absolutely thrashed them in their backyard. Now, what are they going to do at home against a team of that level? Probably something worse. 4-0 might even be generous to the eventual scoreline of what I think this game will be. Moving on to Sunday, West Ham 0, Arsenal 2. Arsenal got the draw against Liverpool last week, as I mentioned earlier, and that's disappointing. However, it's a wake-up call. Arsenal were on a 7-game run, and then bang, something's happened. However, that was a ground which they have a poor record at overall. You know, Anfield was up for it on the day after at half-time, and they had to do that. And whenever Arsenal have had these wake-up calls, they've bounced back and then hit a 5 or 6 game run of form. Fortunately, there's 8 games left of Arsenal's season, I'm pretty sure. So that run of form would help us a lot. West Ham away, a ground which Arsenal have a very mixed results record at. Arsenal have only got 3 wins at the ground, and only 2 of them were after the first seed time they played there, which was an amazing 5-1 win where Sanchez scored a hat-trick, and by God, I missed that, man. But yeah, West Ham got the good win at Fulham. However, one thing Arsenal fans might be happy with is if they lost that game, Moyes would have probably been sacked. And him staying there a little bit longer helps Arsenal a little bit, because if he got sacked, they had a new manager bounce, that's a bit more of a concern. West Ham this season have been poor. There's no shame in being honest about that. They've been poor defensively. Souček has not been himself. Soufal has, I think, been pretty poor compared to how he was rated when he first came in to the Premier League. And I think they are there for the taking. The London Stadium isn't the scary place it was maybe last season, or has it ever been a scary place, whatever. But the West Ham side just are not a threat. And Arsenal's away record in London is superb. They've won every single away game in London against London sides without conceding. And this is the last London away game. And I still back them to get a clean sheet. I mean, to be fair, away from home, Arsenal have been amazing when it comes to clean sheets. And that's why I back them here. 2-0, probably goals from Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka. Clean sheets all around in London. I'm backing it. Nottingham Forest 0, Man United 3. Yeah, Forest home record, I just don't see it carrying on anymore against Man United. Man United still have Casemiro out, I'm pretty sure. But do I expect that to be that much of an issue against Forest? No. I think Man United will batter Forest. They beat them, 2-0, I think, at the City Ground in the League Cup. It was two-legged, I think. But yeah, they will do what needs to be done at Forest. There's no mistake about that. I think they'll make it pretty easy. They are missing Rashford. That might have an impact. But come on, if you're serious, you shouldn't need Rashford to beat Nottingham Forest. We all talk about the Premier League being this competitive league, but if you want to be serious and you want to be at the top, you have to beat who's in front of you with a player missing. And if they can't do that, then United really are going to be having a problem if players are missing every now and then. But I think they have what it takes, and they will win this game 3-0. Leeds 0, Liverpool 2. Yeah, Liverpool obviously have only lost 1 game at Anfield this season, and it was to Leeds. They were last minute Crescencio Somerville winner, which was insane when it happened. Leeds probably, gave Marsh a bit too long time just because of that win at Anfield. So Liverpool actually kind of screwed Leeds a little bit by conceding that goal. But Liverpool, away from home, against sides like this, have been struggling. However, Leeds last week with that absolute hammering of Palace, I don't really have hope that they can do anything in this game. Sure, they'll be up for it. It's a Monday night, under lights, against a big team. However, yeah, I think they'll maybe be up for it early on in the game, but genuinely, all it takes is Liverpool maybe taking a chance in the first half an hour, and that'll kill the atmosphere, whatever the hype they've got around that ground. And I can see Liverpool taking that momentum from the Arsenal game and doing something with it. They had the opportunity after the Man United win. They didn't do that. They lost at Bournemouth. Here, I think they've got another opportunity. They used Trent in a slightly more advanced role and in a different role as well, kind of holding that midfield park up. And I think if they continue that playing that way, they can contain teams a little bit more. And Leeds aren't the best team in the league. They won't go down per se, I don't think, but they aren't the best side. They are susceptible to many things. They're a fragile side, and despite having good players like Rodrigo, like Harrison, like Nonto, who is coming back, I still think they are very susceptible as a side. And when you're coming up against a player like Mohamed Salah, who is still amazing, he's still an amazing player, he's still got it, I will still back Liverpool to do the business, and I think they'll win this game 2-0. Anyway, those are my predictions. Comment below what you think about them. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to ding the bell for notifications. You'll be notified every single time we upload. And also check the channel out for all the videos. We've got so much content overall. All the prediction videos I've done so far, all the episodes, all the podcast clips, all of that. And don't forget to check out the Europa League and Champions League prediction video which Jordan made. I'll be linking that up here, okay? So don't forget to check that one out anyway. This has been The Footballing Question, and we'll see you around.